Okay, let's do this. I'm not used to filming, so please bear with me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're here for the first time. Today I'm going to film the top 25 books that I'm planning to read in 2025. They are not in any particular order, except the first two that I'm going to mention. They are going to be the two books that I'm going to start reading next. So the first one is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. And I would have never thought of picking up this book, except that I have seen certain reviews about this book that have influenced my decision. And the people that have read the book, that I've watched talk about it, have spoken so highly of the book, to the extent that my interest was piqued so much that I feel really excited about reading it. And yeah, I can't wait to get started. I'm planning to get started today. So I'm gonna read the synopsis so you get a feel of what the book's about. The people suffer under the centuries-long rule of the Moon Throne. The royal family, the despotic emperor, and his monstrous sons, the three terrors, hold the countryside in their choking grip. They bleed the land and oppress the citizens with the frightful powers they inherited from the gods locked under their palace. But that god cannot be contained forever. With the aid of Jun, a guard broken by his guilt-stricken past, and Kima, an outcast fighting for his future, the god escapes from her royal captivity and flees from her own children, the triplet terrors, who would drag her back to her unholy prison. And so it is that she embarks with her young companions on a 5-day pilgrimage in search of freedom and a way to end the Moon Throne forever. The journey ahead will be more dangerous than any of them could have imagined. Do you know what? I've actually read the synopsis for the first time just now. Yeah. Anyway, it's fantasy. That's the impression I have, or my knowledge of it, and I am really curious. So and it's a standalone book as far as I know. Okay, so that is the one that I'm gonna start reading. That's the one I'm gonna start reading you know, today, hopefully. The second one I'm planning to start reading, also from today, is actually very different. It is going to be Swann's Way by Proust, by Marcel Proust. I bought this book 2 years ago, and I never really got to read it, or sit down and start to read it for whatever reason. But I am very excited about reading it, and I am aware that this may, I'm not sure if it's easy to read. It might be easy to read, but I feel like it might be quite intense and quite heavy from my understanding of it. This book, there's actually 7 volumes of this, and I think when it came out at the time, it came out in several issues. So this book is a classic, and honestly, I can't wait to tuck in. And the way I'm planning to read this is actually a few pages every day, and I'm planning to pace myself. I'm planning to I'm going to try and read the book over a period of anything between 2 weeks to a month. I think I want to spend about a month on each book. That's the plan, but I won't know what it will feel like until I get started, really. The next book that I'm planning to read is an epic. It's a really thick book. It's this one, The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. And I think this book was written like 1,000 years ago. I'll pop a note here to say when it was written. I'm not sure exactly, but I really can't wait to get started. The next one, we are staying with the Japanese theme, and it's also a big book about a very, very famous Japanese samurai. It's based on a true story, as far as I know, and it's Musashi by Eiji Yoshikawa. I will read this. It's a classic samurai novel about the real exploits of the most famous swordsman. Miyamoto Musashi was the child of an era when Japan was emerging from decades of civil strife. Lured to the great battle of Sekigahara in 1600 by the hope of becoming a samurai, without really knowing what it meant, he regains consciousness after the battle to find himself lying defeated, dazed and wounded among thousands of the dead and dying. On his way home, he commits a rash act, becomes a fugitive, and brings life in his own village to a standstill until he is captured by a weaponless Zen monk. The lovely Otsu, seeing in Musashi her ideal of manliness, frees him from his torturous punishment, but he is recaptured and imprisoned. During 3 years of solitary confinement, he delves into the classics of Japan and China. When he is set free, he rejects the position of samurai and for the next several years pursues his goal relentlessly, looking neither to left nor to right. Ever so slowly it dawns on him that following the way of the sword is not simply a matter of finding a target for his brute strength, continually striving to perfect his technique, which leads him to unique style fighting with 2 swords simultaneously. He travels far and wide, challenging fighters of many disciplines, taking nature to be his ultimate and severest teacher and undergoing the rigorous training of those who follow the way. He is supremely successful in his encounters, but in the art of war he perceives the way of peaceful and prosperous governance and disciplines himself to be a real human being. He becomes a reluctant hero to a host of people whose lives he has touched and been touched. So, yeah, can't wait to read it. The next book that I also want to read in 2025 is also a really big one. It is nearly 900 pages, and that is The Mount of Monte Cristo. I've heard such good things about this, people recommending this so highly, and I've got several classics, big classics that I really want to read, like Don Quixote and the brothers Karamazov and such like. But I think I've decided I want to read this first. I may not be able to read the others this year, but I've put this at the priority. I don't really like the cover of this, but anyway, I'm really, really excited about reading it. I love the story, but yeah, I want to read by this author and experience the writing style, experience the plot, the storyline, and everything that ensues. And of course, this is the story of Edmond Dantes, self-styled Count of Monte Cristo, is told with consummate skill. The victim of a miscarriage of justice, Dante is fired by the desire for retribution and empowered by a stroke of providence. In his campaign of vengeance, he becomes an anonymous agent of fate. The sensational narrative of intrigue, betrayal, escape, and triumphant revenge moves at a cracking pace. The next one that I really want to read is The Makioka Sisters by Okay, I'm going to read the synopsis. Tanizaki's masterpiece is the story of four sisters and the declining fortunes of a traditional Japanese family. It is a loving and nostalgic recreation of the sumptuous, intricate, upper-class life of Osaka immediately before World War II. With surgical precision, Tanizaki lays bare the sinews of pride and brings a vanished era to vibrant life. So it sounds amazing, honestly. Because I feel like this is taking a long time and I've got a lot of books to get through, I'm going to try and go a little bit faster. The next one I really want to read is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I think you may know already a lot about this. You may have read it. If you have, what do you think of it? But again, it's a saga, I think. My understanding, there's elements of magical realism, and it spans many decades. This is what I know of it. But, like I say, I don't know that much about the book, but can't wait to get started with this. Another book that I really want to read, hopefully this year, is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, only because of the amazing things I heard about it. I am aware that this is part of, I think, a trilogy, or is it more than trilogy? But I want to read at least book one this year. And yeah, see how I get on. Another book I want to read 2025 is an author I've never read, and it's Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. Again, heard such amazing things about it. I can't wait to get started. The next book is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea. I'm really, really intrigued about this one. I've heard some incredible reviews time and time again about this book. I'm really curious, so that will be another one. Another book will be by Machado de Assis, and it's the Posthumous Memoirs of Brass Cubas. Okay, let's read the synopsis. The mixed-race grandson of ex-slaves, Machado de Assis is not only Brazil's most celebrated writer, but also a writer of world stature. In his masterpiece, in the 1881 novel, The Posthumous Memoirs of Brass Cubas, the ghost of a decadent and disagreeable aristocrat decides to write his memoir. He dedicates it to the worms gnawing at his corpse, and in 160 brief chapters tells of his failed romances and half-hearted political ambition, serves up harebrained philosophies, and complains with gusto from the depths of his grave. Wildly imaginative, wickedly witty, and ahead of its time, the novel has been compared to the work of everyone from Cervantes to Sterne to Joyce. Next, I want to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I think this doesn't need any introduction or explanation. It's a gothic horror classic. I think Mary Shelley wrote it when she was like 18 or something. Yeah, can't wait. Another one is Endurance by Alfred Lansing. In August 1914, the Endurance set sail for the South Atlantic. The project of the expedition was to cross the Antarctic overland. In October 1915, still half a continent away from their intended base, the ship was trapped, then crushed in the ice. For 5 months, Shackleton and his men, drifting on ice packs, were castaways in one of the most savage regions of the world. The men faced an 850-mile voyage in an open boat across the stormiest ocean on the globe, and an overland trek through forbidding glaciers and mountains. Based on first-hand accounts of those involved, Alfred Lansing tells the harrowing story of their struggle and survival. Yeah, can't wait. Speaking of true stories, I'm also really, really curious about this. I came across this book very recently, The Salt Path, and I think a film was made on this, but I don't want to watch the film. I want to read the book first before watching the film. and this is a true story. Just days after Rainer Wynne learned that Moth, her husband of 32 years, was terminally ill, they lost their home and livelihood. With nothing left and little time, they impulsively decided to walk the 630-mile southwest coast path from Somerset to Dorset via Devon and Cornwall. So this is in the UK. Living wild and free at the mercy of sea and sky, they discovered a new liberating existence. But what would they find at the journey's end? Another one is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. And this is set in Poland, about an eccentric woman in her 60s. She recounts the events surrounding the disappearance of her 2 dogs. She is reclusive, preferring the company of animals to people. She is unconventional, believing in the stars, and she is fond of the poetry of William Blake, from whose work the title of the book is taken. When members of a local hunting club are found murdered, I don't know how to pronounce this, a person becomes involved in the investigation. By no means a conventional crime story. This existential thriller by the Nobel Prize in Literature laureate offers thought-provoking ideas on our perceptions of madness, injustice against marginalized people, animal rights, the hypocrisy of traditional religion, belief in predestination, and caused a genuine political uproar in Poland. My kind of book, it sounds like. Another book is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. This is set in Syria. It's written by Zulfa Katu. And yeah, a year ago, before the revolution, Salama watched her brother marry her best friend Layla and wondered when her own love story may begin. Now she works at the hospital, helping those she can, closing the eyes of those she can't. Layla and her unborn baby are all Salama has left. Unless you count Hof. But he's a hallucination, a symptom of the horrors she's seen. Every day he urges Salama to leave Syria. Every day she refuses. Until she crosses paths with Kinan, the boy with the vivid green eyes who wants to stay and risk his life for everything their country could be. It sounds really, really wonderful and has such incredible reviews. Not that I don't always... the thing is, I do listen to reviews. I pay attention. Unfortunately, sometimes reviews can be massive hype. And I've read so many books that had massive hype in the past that I just found really mediocre, not really impressed. But I am really hoping that these books are fantastic. Another book I want to read is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I know very little about this, and I heard that it's better to go into this book with knowing nothing about it. So yeah, I don't have much to say about this, but this is one I really, really want to read, and I've been looking forward and excited to read as well. I've never read anything by Agatha Christie, so that might be a bit shocking to some people. I don't know. I want to start Agatha Christie, and I think because I own this, I want to start reading this. And Then There Were None. So it's about 10 strangers being on an island, blah blah blah. I think somebody gets murdered, blah blah blah. Anyway, and Agatha Christie is renowned. Her books are classic, modern classics, if you like. And I'd be surprised if you haven't heard of her or know of her as a writer. This book, I've never actually read it. To Kill a Mockingbird. Never did it at school. Never personally read it. I really want to read this and get started soon. Okay, this book, now we're going to Sudan, and it is Season of Migration to the North by Tayyib Saleh. And I'm gonna read the synopsis from the back. When a young man returns to his village in the Sudan after many years studying in Europe, he finds that among the familiar faces, there is now a stranger, the enigmatic Mustafa Said. As the two become friends, Mustafa tells the younger man the disturbing story of his own life in London after the First World War. Lionized by society and desired by women as an exotic novelty, Mustafa was driven to take brutal revenge on the decadent West and was, in turn, destroyed by it. Now the terrible legacy of his actions has come to haunt the small village at the bend of the Nile. The story of a man undone by a culture that in part created him. Season of Migration to the North is a powerful and evocative examination of colonization in two vastly different worlds. James Baldwin, If Beale Street Could Talk. Again, it's a classic. Really can't wait to read this. Harlem, the black soul of New York City in the era of Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles. The narrator of James Baldwin's novel is Tish, 19 and pregnant. Her lover, Funny, father of her child, is in jail accused of rape. Flashbacks from their love affair are woven into the compelling struggles of two families to win justice for Funny. To this love story, Baldwin brings a spare and impassioned intensity, charging it with universal resonance and power. This one, Confederacy of Dunces. Let me know if you've read this, because I don't see anyone talk about this, but except one person, and that person is the one who recommended it to me. It's a YouTuber. I say to me, I mean, he recommended it in his video. I've never seen anyone else talk about it, but it sounds amazing, actually. So I'm gonna read the synopsis. A monument to sloth, rant, and contempt. A behemoth of fat, flatulence, and furious suspicion of anything modern. This is Ignatius J. Riley of New Orleans, noble crusader against a world of dunces. In magnificent revolt against the 20th century, Ignatius propels his monstrous bulk among the flesh-pots of a fallen city, filling his big chief tablets with invective, until his maroon-haired mother decrees that Ignatius must go to work. I don't know. Listen, I've heard that this book is really funny, really witty, really brilliant. So I can't wait to get stuck into this. An author I'm ashamed to say I've never read before is Virginia Woolf. I want to get started with reading her, Mrs. Dalloway. So it's quite a short read. Hopefully it wouldn't take long, but I'm not sure if her style is easy to read. I think this is the kind of book I want to read, but take my time with it to really absorb. And because the reason I'm saying this, because I have read like just the first few pages before and I stopped, but I think I just want to take my time, really focus on her words and really take my time to reflect with it. So I can't wait to get started. I've got two more. One is Sally Rooney's Normal People. Actually, I'm not sure if I want to get started with Sally Rooney. I think I want to read her books in publication order. So it might be the other one, Conversation with Friends. I think if that was written first, I think I'll read that first. But this is one that I also really want to read. So there you go. And the final one on the list is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Wong. Yeah, I've heard that the writing, the prose is beautiful, and it's such a beautiful book. I can't wait to read it and judge for myself. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And there you have it, 25 books that I really want to read for 2025. I have a lot more books that I really want to read. I've got a lot of nonfiction as well. And it would have been so easy to add more books to this pile. But I think I want to stick to the 25 top reads, get these out of the way. But I also I don't want to read them fast. I want to enjoy them, understand them, absorb them, reflect on them, think about them, critically think about them, you know. So yeah, anyway, I hope that, I'd love to know for you, what would be, is there anything from this list that I mentioned that really stands out to you, that you really want to read, or that you have read and you would like highly recommend anyway? Anyway, I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.